Every time there's a police shooting, YouTube analysts pump out videos examining the police report, press conferences, video footage, and witness testimony because they're seeking the truth, right? Not on your life. They want to pin the shooting on the cops. The mental gymnastics they employ will usually center on fallacies, and in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the 10 most common. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Okay, so here are the fallacies. I'm not going to focus on the common ones like straw man arguments, fallacy of perfection, and ad hominem arguments. No, these are the ones that, in my opinion, drive the race hustler's approach to crime scene analysis. If you have your own contributions, print them in the comment section. So away we go. Number 1. Nothing is accidental. Everything must be deliberate. Anything that happens that appears to violate what I consider common sense must be part of a scheme. A cop shoots and strikes an innocent bystander. It couldn't be a ricochet. The cop couldn't have for a moment confused the bystander with the perp. This couldn't be a case where the bystander happened to be behind the perp and the cop missed. No, if a bullet comes out of his gun and strikes someone, that could only be because he wanted to shoot that person. Number 2. If something turns out to be nonsensical, the cop must be lying. Cops never make mistakes. In his report, the cop wrote that he was driving a Ford, but it turned out to be a Chevy. He must be lying. He couldn't have just screwed up. In reality, there probably isn't a police report that's ever been drafted that doesn't have some mistakes in it. If you disagree, kindly send me one of your school essays, and I'll blister it. Number 3. Along the same lines, if I think the cop is lying about one thing, then he must be lying about everything. The Ford turned out to be a Chevy, therefore he's lying about the perp having a gun. Because if he's willing to lie about the car he's driving, then he'll stop at nothing with this dishonesty. Number 4. If a crime scene looks strange to me, it must have been staged. Here's Richard P. Brains Taylor telling everyone that because Ronnie Hinton's car isn't pointed in the direction he thinks it should be pointed in, then the cops must have planted the car there, in front of everyone and their video cameras.
All right, so there you see me at the scene. And looking at the scene, I just saw that main street was King Boulevard, in which they said that he was traveling because the side street is a street that leads to a dead end. There's no outlet. So he couldn't have been coming from that way, and he couldn't have been coming from the other way, which is headed towards the university. So as I initially thought by looking at the video in the picture, he was traveling on this main street where you see the police cars are. Now, whether he's traveling the direction of the police cars or the oncoming direction, there is no way that his car could have ended up in that position by traveling from either way. He had to be traveling from that dead end side of the street, which is impossible because they said he was driving up King Boulevard. And so this heightens my suspicion that this is maybe a stage scene. And the information that I got earlier was that a possible lady was driving the vehicle. You see this angle, and also this angle, you see both doors of the car open, which further leans to the fact that maybe there were additional people in the car.
Number 5. Non-cops never lie. While lying comes second nature to cops, you can always trust witness testimony. Especially those that go on social media, refuse to reveal their identities, and never bother to tell the police what they saw. And it doesn't matter if their testimony makes no sense. If it paints the cop in a bad light, they must be telling the truth. Number 6. All cops have the reaction time of a mongoose. When a cop sees a threat, he can react in an infinitesimal amount of time. What's the reality? When a cop sees a threat, he has to process the threat, come to a decision, then act on the threat. This takes time, and a lot can happen in half a second.
A perp can move 4 feet in that time and completely change the landscape of the crime scene. Number 7.
Body cam footage never lies. If the footage is blurry, it must have been doctored. If it doesn't show what I think it should show, it must have been doctored. Sure, it looks like the perp is holding a gun, but the cop claimed to have been driving a Ford when he was driving a Chevy, so you know that he had his cronies at the department airbrush in a gun in the perp's hand.
Because as we all know, one of the main skills you look for in police department staff is commercial-grade video manipulation. Never mind that such a person can make over $70,000 a year in the video industry. Every police department in the country has no problem hiring staff with these skills at the usual $15 an hour. And of course, these staff members are also willing to do this, even though they face jail time if they're caught. Number 8.
If the cops don't release body cam footage, they must be hiding something.
In reality, there could be very good reasons why they're not releasing the footage to the public. They still might be canvassing witnesses. So letting everyone know what their story should be could generate a truckload of false testimony. Also, they already know that the footage will be submitted to discovery in court, and so the lawyers and family of the victim will get to see the best uncompressed video of what happened. They have no obligation to satiate the curiosity of the public. Number 9.
Police chiefs know exactly what happened. If they claim to not know the answer to a question, you know they're lying because they're the police chief and omniscient. If they get anything wrong, this is a cover-up.
Here's a police chief that went to the public in a press conference probably before she should have. She also presented facts about what happened probably before she had it clear in her own head. Here is a sheriff who does not make that mistake. Grady Judd gets his shit in order before he speaks to the public. He speaks affirmatively about what he knows and does not know. He doesn't hedge, and he is crystal clear in his exposition. Number 10.
That which I think makes the most sense is the law. Never mind what the law actually says. Why look that up? Anyone with common sense knows that if a person disrespects you, you can stab them to death, because that's the way it should be. Everyone knows that you can't shoot someone if they're running away from you. That's illegal.
In reality, most of the YouTube analysts get less than half of the codes, regulations, policies, and laws correct.
Sure, the person was drunk driving, but he walked into his house. The police can't go into his house after him?
They can't. My suggestion to all you crime analysts out there is to consider another approach. Consider the totality of circumstances. Good analysis does not mean incessantly poking holes in every smidgen of testimony. Listening intently to a police chief who may not fully know all the details and could have some details confused just so that you can jump on an inconsistency is pointless. Examining blurry body cam video, looking for anything that seems out of the ordinary, then seizing on that to claim the footage is doctored doesn't help us get to the truth. It just sows the seeds of distrust and anger. I don't think for a moment that people like Richard Taylor and Benjamin Crump and Rashad Ritchie are looking for the truth. In the case of Rodney Hinton killing a hapless sheriff's deputy, I think people like them want him to get away with it because he killed a white cop. I also think they want Carmelo Anthony to get away with stabbing another kid to death simply because he got his pride hurt in front of others because he's black. And really, that's all there is to it. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.